That's right.
Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the NASCAR Xfinity Series Rewind Show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, welcome. This is a channel where we discuss lots of motorsports, namely NASCAR, ARCA, IndyCar, and Formula One. We do plan to broaden that scope eventually, but for now, that's what we cover. So on today's edition of the Xfinity Rewind Show, we are looking back at today's 27th annual LTI Printing 250 from the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway. Only went 91 laps in this one, only made it 182 of the scheduled 250 miles because of rain. Got started late because of rain, actually got started fairly a lot later than what we were planning on starting, and then barely made it into the third stage before rain came again. And by NASCAR rules, if you can make it to the end of the second stage, the race is considered official. If they have to stop it at any point after that, race is done. So we made it to lap 91 before the rain came again, and that was an official race. As such, Austin Dillon takes the victory in this one, taking a 1-2 finish for RCR with his teammate Daniel Hemrick right behind him. Cole Custer came home in the third position. Ryan Reed and Paul Menard rounded out the top 5. Rest of your top 10, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Kevin Harvick, Justin Allgaier, and Ryan Truex. Now as we look down 11th through 20th, we see Christopher Bell here in 11th. It is a miracle, I think, that he even got 11th in this race. Caught up in 2 incidents on the day. He was the first caution of the day, lap 18 for his incident in turn 4. Ran around the rest of the day with a lot of damage to the rear of the car, and then again has a spin off of turn 4, lap 68 shortly into stage number 3, and still fights his way back for an 11th place finish. There is no give up in Christopher Bell, and I love that about Christopher Bell. It's amazing. Kaz Grala there in 12th had a chance to win the race late before he got the bumper from Austin Dillon in turns 1 and 2, and that was the end of Kaz Grala's chances at a win. I was really pulling for Kaz Grala in this one. The little team that could. This team needs some sponsorship to be able to run the rest of the remaining races. They have a few races lined out with sponsorship, but not all of them. And I was really hoping they could pick up the win. That would get them a lot of exposure, and I'm sure if they couldn't pick up sponsorship for the rest of their races from a win, I'm sure they would at least fill out some of them. John Hunter Nemechek there in 13th. Matt Tifft came home in 16th. Another kind of lackluster run for Michael Annett back there in the 17th position. Didn't really see much out of him for most of the day. Same with Brandon Jones there in 18th. 21st through 30th, disappointing run for Alex Bowman in that 23 car for GMS Racing in 21st. Austin Cindric got caught up in an incident late lap 74 where he and Michael Annett got together on the front stretch, and 23rd would be where Austin Cindric would finish the day. Elliott Sadler back here in the 30th position. He was really going for broke there at the end, playing the fuel mileage game, trying to stay out front until the rain came. Unfortunately, the way this package works is it's almost like running at Daytona and Talladega, except we're at Michigan. Elliott was trying to slide back up in line on the outside groove to try and not lose too many spots as he started to fall back. Tries to slide up in front of Alex Bowman. Doesn't really work out for him. That was the reason we saw Alex Bowman so far back in 21st. That was the end of the day for Elliott Sadler, the competitive day at least. Comes home 30th, last car on the lead lap. 31st through 40th, we've got the only person actually running at the end of the race on this list was Timmy Hill there in 31st. Lots of these guys getting caught up in incidents throughout the day. Lap 38, Cesar Barcarella and Alex LeBay got into an incident in turn number 4. Ryan Sieg had a spin off of turn number 4 on lap 46. Matt Mills had an incident in turn 2, lap 57. The Next to last caution of the race, lap 81, Cesar Baccarella got caught up in his second incident on the day. Brandon Hightower also involved, as well as Josh Balicki and David Starr. That was the lap 81 caution. We got going back racing for one lap after that, and then we went back under caution for the rain, and that would be the end of the day. So that is your results for the LTI Printing 250. Actually, more like the LTI Printing 182. Can we call it that? Probably not. So we're going to head over to the media center and we'll see what your top three finishers, Cole Custer, Daniel Hemrick, and Austin Dillon, had to say after this one.
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy with the strategy my crew chief Jeff Mentoring called. I mean, it seemed like, we pitted once and then we just tried to stretch it as long as we could for the rain. And that was a great call because, I mean, track position was pretty much everything. If you got stuck back there, I mean, it was pretty hard to make passes and pretty hard to go forward unless you had a really fast car or somebody was going to follow you all the way up there. But it was definitely a good day for everybody at Code 3, and we'll see what we can do next week.
Yeah, I mean, it was unknowns for everybody. Everybody kind of knew what we were up against, and that's why you saw the aggressiveness that we saw in practice trying to prepare for today's race. I was proud of the effort and the strides we made throughout practice to make sure we had a really good driving race car today, and I'm proud of everybody on this 21 South Bend Hotel Casino Chevrolet for giving me the opportunity to drive a fast race car, and unfortunately today I didn't do a good enough job of executing there at the end. Put myself in position to try to win the race. I just went and saw Austin in victory lane, and he reminded me of something that kind of picked me up a little bit about the fact that that's the difference between points racing and showing up just to race, because you can not really be nervous of the what ifs if the moves he made didn't work, and I kind of had to keep that in the back of my mind a little bit, but I just didn't quite execute it like I needed to on my end to make sure we could at least try to get the victory lane. But proud of our effort. Great day for the company at RCR, and the package I thought was really good for this track specifically. I thought it wasn't quite as crazy as practice was, just because everybody realized how disciplined you had to be, and it's kind of a little bit of the follow the leader deal unless somebody was really that much faster and could get out of line and pull you back and clear themselves by the next corner. But there's only about 2 or 3 cars that seemed like they could really do that efficiently, and either way, proud of our effort. Just didn't do enough on my end today.
Sure. Well, it's always amazing to get to victory lane, and the Xfinity Series for RCR, we've been working real hard to get our cars back where they need to be, and big effort from all the crew chiefs, including Danny Lawrence. They've worked really hard to get us where we need to be, and this feels good. Me and Nick had gotten a run off a couple wins a couple years back together, and we felt like you put us back together that we could go do it again, and that's only our, second race this year, third race?
Yeah.
Second?
One and a half.
One and a half. He took a break.
Yeah.
And
I got a little trouble at Daytona, but I'm back with it.
So, but you put us together. We're a pretty good duo. Obviously, it looks like we've got a pretty good win percentage together, and it's nice to be back with him in that group. And love the Xfinity Series, and I thought the package, it was different type of racing. Fans had to love how tight we were together. Definitely kind of hard to pass that lead guy, but we made a pass for the lead, a couple of them getting there, pushing and shoving. I went back to 6th a couple times and made it back through there. So that's pretty cool to see that type of racing. It's different. It'll be interesting to see what the fans think, and I thought it was pretty exciting and fun. It reminded me of like go-kart racing back in the day, a long time ago, and that's what you had to do to move people to kind of push and win.
You want me to come? I thought the package, my hats are off to NASCAR for looking at different packages for our product out there. And, like everything, when you very first start running it like this, I'm sure they'll tweak on it a little bit. But I was impressed with how close the field was. I looked up after quite a few laps, and nobody had been lapped. And, the 20 got down a lap when he wrecked. But it was close racing, even back in the field. So we'll see, like Austin said, let's see what this is all about the fans and giving them a product they love to watch.
Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the package a whole lot. I was impressed the way the cars could get runs and draft from a race fan side and watching the races. Very exciting from pit road and so are the plate races. But a lot more racy, a lot more close passes and pushes and shoves than what you see at a normal open track. So I think it was very exciting. But I'd like to thank my teammates Randall and Stockman. We all work so good together, and this is a big win for us. I think our momentum's moving, and we all three work together so well. That's a big deal. And my week started on Sunday when Austin got home last week. I met him at his house when he landed, and we scheduled a simulator date, and we worked hard on it. And of course, the simulator we could only do single car runs, so we really trimmed speed, trimmed the car out for speed, and it worked. We came here and we were pretty good. He was happy yesterday. We had to get it to turn just a little bit better, but everything came together, and Austin spent a day at the simulator with me, and my group of guys, they worked their tails off, and then Shane Lee, one of our other drivers, filled in, and he did another full afternoon for me. Austin had an appearance on Wednesday, and he filled in, but team effort and super cool deal, and I'm pleased with the package and think we conquered a good win.
All right, so let's take a look at the Xfinity Series playoff grid before wrapping up here tonight. And as you'll see here, not a lot of changes this week, as we seem to be becoming accustomed to on the Xfinity side of things. Elliott Sadler's lead over Cole Custer and Daniel Hemrick shrunk a little bit, which is expected after a 30th place finish. Nothing really changes otherwise, other than we're getting a little bit more defined of a cut line down here. There's a 27-point gap between Ross Chastain and Ryan Sieg. So that being said, the playoffs are definitely becoming defined here. I think the only way anything really changes at this point is if Ross Chastain has a string of bad luck as we head toward the playoffs, which I don't really see happening, or one of these four guys below the cut line wins a race. I don't really see anybody below 16th really picking up a win at this point unless they really luck into one. But, I mean, you could argue Jeremy Clements lucked into a win at Road America last year, so it's not really out of the question. So I definitely wouldn't put Jeremy Clements out of the question here. Kaz Gralla showed some speed today in a 61 car, and he has shown speed ever since being in that 61 car. I think it's going to take him a little bit of luck to win a race, but I'm not completely ruling it out. So Kaz Gralla could get up here, win a race, and really throw a wrench in this cutoff line, because let's say Kaz Gralla wins a race. That bumps him automatically into the playoffs. But then you look here, that puts the cut line at that point between Austin Cindric and Ross Chastain. That makes a 33-point gap at the cut line. I don't think Ross Chastain is going to catch Austin Cindric unless Austin Cindric has a string of bad luck himself, which is not out of the question either. So, it looks fairly cut and dry at this point as to who's going to be in the playoffs and who's not. But as we know, things can change in an instant, and somebody that you thought may never win a race or was not even halfway competitive and not even close to winning a race yet could sneak in here and win a race and totally mess up this playoff picture. That's what's exciting to me as we head down toward the playoffs, is you don't know who's going to end up in the playoffs. It looks like you know who's going to end up in the playoffs, but you don't really know completely until we get to the playoffs, until we get through Indianapolis. So that is your playoff grid for the Xfinity Series following Michigan, and I think that will do it for us today. So thank you, as always, for joining me today. If you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing from Racing News Now. And hit that big thumbs up button if you liked the video. It is much appreciated when you do. So with that, this has been the NASCAR Xfinity Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.